And we're live. Hello, Tom Lavecchia here with a very, very special edition of the New Theory Podcast. I don't do this enough. I have a consultant that says you need to like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. We're close to 100,000 subs. Hopefully, by the time this airs, we'll be even closer, which will be good. And maybe this might take us over the top of 100,000 subs. I got a few requests for this guest to come back. He did a podcast, two of those with us, with Steve Griggs. Shout out to Steve. His name is Danilo Bonazza, who is a literally like one of the world leaders in mosaic tile artistry. He is an amazing person. He has an awesome journey. I'm telling you right now, if you are watching this and you don't have an hour, pause and then come back when you can, because you're going to want to hear from our next Danilo Bonazza. Welcome back to the New Theory Podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everybody, for checking out.
It's our pleasure. So the reason why this story is special, your story is special to me, is because I'm very fascinated with the dynamics. You know, I'm Italian American. My parents were born there. My brothers were born there. I was born here, and there are some nuances to the Italian American experience and the Italian experience. But then there's some that are consistent within the Italian experience because we both grew up with Italian moms. And one of those things are very strong, parents and very strong leadership from them growing up, which is a good thing. But when you're an artist, not as much. So walk us through Danilo Bonazza's artistic journey as a child.
Well, yeah, as a child, we already mentioned in the other podcast, I'll try to be quick. And then eventually, if you have questions, obviously we'll can dive a little deeper into it. I've always loved art and fascinated with like drawing and putting things together since I was a child. I don't even remember when it started because it was just in me. And my parents did not really like that much. They were probably concerned that if I was focusing too much on that, I will waste my time and probably becoming broke. One of the famous sentences of my mother was like, "Do you want to live under a bridge?" So then, the best way to do that is being an artist. So I never really believed in that. I always thought that there was a way. Obviously, I knew that it was difficult since the beginning, but for them it was just like a sin. They were really opposed to it, and huge troubles between me and my parents because of that. A lot of fights, a lot of arguments, and I ended up pretty much leaving. At a very young age because of that. But fortunately, I always used that as a fuel to just make me stronger. I knew I had to become better if I want to succeed. And I knew that, like, partially, I wanted to do this for myself, but a little bit was really, like, the drive was to prove them wrong, especially to my father.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So just a heads up, I know this is obvious, especially being on the East Coast, but we have a worldwide audience and a lot outside New Jersey area. For an Italian guy, first of all, we cherish our parents, we cherish our mother. It's part of the culture, but also very rarely do we leave early. At 18 years old, Americans are like, see you later. I stayed home to 28. If her mother was still alive, I probably still would be living with her. Just, these are in small things in Italian culture and Italian American culture. The other part that strikes me as interesting is you're from Ravenna, which is the capital of mosaics in the world. So it's almost like if you wanted to make cheesesteaks in Philadelphia, it would make sense. Oh, this is what we do here, right? Why wasn't that part of the equation? Because you were from the mosaic capital of the world. They didn't think, oh, you know what? You have influence by being in the capital of the mosaics, and maybe that might be something you can do?
Well, actually, it's probably the opposite.
Oh.
Just because there's so many mosaic artists in Ravenna because of the culture, the vast majority did not succeed. There's just so many little shops and here and there that they barely survive. And a lot of still people that I know that they're actually even talented, but they still barely make a living. And most of them, they had to quit. They had to find like side jobs because, again, we are the capital of the world as far as town and city. So we have tourists from all over the place to come over and visit and checking out the most amazing churches, but still, that doesn't mean that everybody can afford it or everybody wants a big mosaic in their homes. It's still a very, labor-intensive art, and that means obviously it's pricey. And if you want to try to sell a piece, probably you have to, undersell it, undervalue it. So at the end of the day, you don't really make a lot of money. Like you work for like a month to create an art piece, and then, at the end of the day, you sell it and you realize that, holy crap, I made just, 50 cents an hour. So it's not, because there's a lot of competition, because it's such a famous art in my area. There's so many kids that go that way. But the vast majority, they quit. By the time they're like 25 or 28, they quit because they just don't make a living.
That's an interesting point, and I think Julian's going to like this question. So I had a publicist on Sunday, and she is a publicist of a lot of big bands, probably many you heard of. And she's a little slight. She called her the queen of metal. She also did a lot of like stuff in the emo scene that got big in the U.S. and the international. And she was in the early days of like My Chemical Romance, like Thursday, and a few other bands. And I'm not knocking any of the other bands, but My Chemical Romance shot up to the stratosphere. And I asked her, I said, did you know? Like, yeah, so My Chem this day, Thursday this day, whoever this day, that day, that day. And I'm like, did you know? And she kind of knew, right? Mm-hmm. So my question is, respectfully to your colleagues in the mosaic space that didn't make it, right? Did you know that you were going to make it, honestly? And number two is, what separated you from the ones that didn't?
I definitely did not know. Absolutely. I wasn't sure. I was like, naturally, I'm very shy and very insecure as a person, and especially because of my upbringing with my family. My father was a very tough guy and created a lot of insecurity in me because he always told me that I was never good enough. I was never good enough. Oh, wow. So I grew up thinking that I was never good enough. That, again, I used it as a fuel to get better. But at the same time, I thought that I was still not good enough. So no matter how much, how hard I worked or how much I was working on improving my skills in anything, not just in my job, not just in my hobby. At that time, it was my hobby. I was not really making money. I was still studying and stuff. But even in everything else, even in school, even with my friends, even with the girls especially, I was like extremely shy and insecure. While all my friends, they, 14, 15 years old, they already had the little girlfriend here and there. I did not. I was extremely shy. When I saw a girl that I like, I always thought, like, why would she date me? Like, I'm worse than everybody else. I'm not as good as the other guy.
You're tall, though.
So, I know, but still.
In Italy, everywhere it's a premium, but even Italy, you're really tall.
I still thought that, like, I was always, like, decent-looking guy. Definitely not worse than anybody else, but I was definitely very shy and very insecure, so that did not help. I never had the courage of asking a girl out until I really forced myself. I had to force myself. After a couple things that went wrong, I realized okay, this is not gonna work. I can't do better than this. So I started using maybe a little. Mental cheating technique. It's I was cheating myself pretty much and pretending that I was not shy. And, sometimes it works. So then I was like, okay, I can do that. Then I started being an actor pretty much, creating my own persona. And then that led into improving myself, actually. But again, as far as business-wise, I did not know. But the difference between me and the other people, I think I probably had a talent, definitely, but also I worked really, really hard. Because I thought that I was not good enough, at the same time, I wanted to get better, so I started really working hard on myself and studying at night, studying new technique, coming up with new ideas, and the art pieces that I was creating, they were never good enough for me. So the next one had to be better. And that really put me on a path, a little journey in becoming, better. And then also I'm very stubborn. So, that led me into like, let's keep trying again. Let's keep trying again. I was doing something, it didn't work. Like, let's keep doing it. Let's keep doing it. Until, something happened, until I started, getting good feedbacks, and especially one project we already talked about in Geneva, in Switzerland, that an architect needed to find something different because he was not able to please the client. And after I knocked at his door like 3-4 times in the last year or two, whatever, he decided to give me a shot, and it worked out. It was difficult. It was challenging. I was afraid. I was scared to death of that project because, like, from like little side mosaic pieces, I had to create this huge swimming pool. And the challenge was because it was a swimming pool, so obviously with all the issues about water infiltrating between all the grout lines of every single mosaic piece and everything else. I also never done a swimming pool before, so I had no clue. I had to study. I was doing researches in the library and other things because, again, at that time, we're talking about the 90s, there was no internet that could give you much information. So, but, we were successful. We were able to create something very nice that had recognition, which, again, I did not have personal recognition because the architect took all the credit. But that gave me the confidence, like, okay, I can do this. And also, he needed me again, and then I used that as a leverage to then, okay, now my name has to be in place, has to be recognized. So you can't use just your name. Like, my name has to be there. And again, there was a little back and forth and contract-wise. And after a few months, he came back. He was like, okay, let's do it.
We call that dummy tax in the beginning. This, you don't know what you're doing. Now, the other part is actually bringing up dummy tax. I could probably buy this building with the dummy tax just from the last 5 years, but it's another discussion. But in terms of dummy tax, you were a strong artist and had artistry. What are some of the business mistakes you might have made early on that you obviously were able to fix because you learned? And what recommendations do you have for people that are maybe newer going into the art business space? And what are your recommendations for them to avoid such mistakes?
Well, there's so many that I still do to this day. Maybe not as as much, but still. Well, one of the first thing is, again, you have to believe in yourself and what you can do. At the same time, you have to be a little bit, elastic. Especially at the beginning, you need to create your name. And in order to do that, you have to have jobs. You have to have projects to show what you can do. And at the beginning, it's difficult because obviously you would love to make money, but at the same time, if you're asking a certain amount of money, then it's less difficult to get projects because we're talking about, especially in my field, something that's very expensive. The materials are very expensive. There's a lot of hours involved, so you want to be paid. And when people don't know about it and they don't know your name, why would they spend so much when they have other alternatives? Like, not everybody needs a mosaic, so they can decide to have just a painting, or they can decide to just have their pool plastered instead of spending 10 times and having it in mosaic. So at the beginning, that's really the biggest challenge. You overcome that with a little bit of confidence and also, lowering the prices at the beginning until then you start making yourself a name. And also, depending on where you are, when you give a little bit of education to the people around you, like a lot of people, they don't even know what a mosaic is. They don't know that you can even apply in a pool, for example. But when you start making few projects, maybe in your area, then there's word of mouth, spreading. And some of your clients' friends, they see their pools and then they want it as well. And like few years before, or before they saw that pool, they never even seen one, so they did not even think that that was possible. They did not even consider it. But then they see it, so then you have a chance to, do another project and maybe asking a little bit more because they want you now.
Yeah.
So, other mistakes are like, I'm still not very great at marketing. I'm still finding my way around it, how to approach the potential clients, how to really get my name out there. It's still a niche, Again, in 100 pools, maybe one or two can be made in mosaics because it's very expensive. So not everybody wants to spend those kind of money, or they can't even do it. It's like, not everybody wants a Rolls Royce.
Oh. But the difference, though, is there's a functional component to your art. And were you always kind of a function where people really liked your stuff and they, hired you? Or was it, always about the artistry? And then number two is when I discuss you, because you're a friend and a client with people, it's interesting because they don't understand what you do, right? Some don't.
Yeah.
Some don't.
A
Right?
lot
A lot
people
don't. But the ones that do, they get it. Meaning, like they understand that if and I'm not knocking anybody. Like Steve is a great guy, and you do his backyard. You spend $300,000, your house goes up, X amount of dollars, and we had Marshall on, and we discussed that, and that's more transactional and that's more straightforward, right? But where you come in, it's more artistry. Where if you do my backyard or you do a mural, that's a functional piece of art.
Yeah.
Was that the intention, and if so, how did that manifest?
Well, it's definitely the intention to make something that's just unique. I've never done the same pool twice and never will. Like, I'm not interested in doing that. Even the ones that are very simple and that are really need to find simplicity in what I do, but I always change something. That the range of colors, the combination of colors, a little like touch of gold here or maybe platinum there, or a little line over there, like just something different. Because I just don't like to repeat myself. I like the challenge of new things. And also, like, at the end, I want the client to feel that, I have something that nobody else in the world has. Even if we want to keep it simple, but still has something unique, something a little different, a little twist here and there. So definitely the fact that it's a functional art. And again, the fact that the clients at the end, they just don't look at it, but they actually have fun with it. They use it, they celebrate whatever wedding or birthday or a party or family traditions or whatever. They have all their friends, their family, people that they love, and they just use their pools with this art that I created. That would really, really, really gives me pleasure and satisfaction, knowing that they don't just look at it, but they use it, they enjoy it, they have fun with it, they have great memories and experience with the art piece that I created. That's the biggest joy to me.
When I first saw your website, I recognized the pool, the infamous pool from Billions.
Yeah.
One of my favorite shows, by the way, right away. And in that pool, your name is actually spelled out in the pool again, kind of putting your stamp on the pool, which is obviously consistent with any artist. And I think it was Michael Loeb who's the inspiration for the show. My question to you is, was it your idea or his idea to put your name in the pool?
His idea, actually.
Wow.
His idea. Because I never thought that somebody would like to have my name in their pools, like if when I create an art piece, like one of those famous icon art pieces that I created, like, Prince, Marilyn Monroe, and John Lennon and so on, then it makes sense that maybe there's, my signature. It's like a painting, right? Yeah. But I never really thought about putting it into a swimming pool. But actually, Michael recognized, my talent, and he loved it, and he just wanted something. And then at the end, when he saw, he travels all over the place. Obviously, he's super busy. But one Saturday, I remember he came down and he told me, like, I will be down to the house this Saturday. So I arranged everything to place the floor, which is the most artistic part of that pool, like putting it all together, not really installed, but just placing it down to show him what it will look like somehow. And he saw it, was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. It's such a beautiful art piece. And I need your signature in it. I need to know that you did it. Like I just like I want it. It's like, okay.
Wow.
So I thought about, putting a little bit of thing. It was like, no, I want it big. I just want to make sure that you can read it from the outside. And I was like shocked, to be honest. We're like, whoa. So we did it, and he loved it. Like, yep, that's what art needs to be recognized. He's a huge art collector. He's got like real pieces inside. Like he's got a Klimt.
Yeah.
In his house. So.
Yeah, just the expression of you alone. You don't need to say the names. You can tell he's got a real art collection. I can tell. How was the young guy, the young kid from Ravenna, when you're putting your name up in the pool of arguably one of the wealthiest guys in the country, if not the world, who's recognizing your art? Give us that experience when you were putting that on the wall.
Yeah, it was a big achievement to me. I was like, wow, somebody wants to really make sure that people know about me. Like, like somebody understands my whole journey, kind of like, like he knows that I spent, thousands and thousands of hours in perfecting myself, and he understands the value. So it's great when you don't have to tell people that I work hard, I do this, I do that. You don't need to. They just see it. They just understand it. They see it in your passion. They see it in what you do. They see in how hard you work and you apply yourself while you're doing something for them. So it's great. It's like I don't need to explain myself. Like somebody else just gets me. It's great. And also, while I was creating my name, my signature, obviously it took me on a journey, and like, God, I was broke. I was so close so many times to quit. And thank God at the end, for one reason or another, I did not. And it was such a difficult, hard, but beautiful journey with a lot of weird, crazy experiences. I don't know. I feel like I'm 51. I feel like I lived 3-4 lives, to be honest, because it was so intense. Obviously moving country, going all around the world, working in more than 100 countries and creating, art pieces in more than 100 countries for so many clients and so many difficult situations, some like very rough. Experiencing so many different kind of people, like the super rich, the super poor, the very powerful, the ones that have nothing. I've seen it all. So it's been an intense life, and I feel that I'm blessed to had a chance to live it the way that I did, and going through all the experiences, good and bad, because even the bad ones at the end, if you can use them properly, they create strength. They make you learn things about yourself and about the other people and humanity. And if you can flip things around, you can use bad experiences to become a better person. And, knowing that next time you should do something different. So don't beat yourself too much. Recognize your mistakes and use them.
Yeah.
But, like I just feel I'm so lucky for somehow. I don't even know why. Sometimes I just look at myself and I think I don't even deserve it. Some people, the one that know me, they're like, no, you definitely do, because they know how hard I worked. But at the same time, it's like, there's other people that work hard and they still struggle, so I see that, and I never forget. Every day I wake up with a smile on my face, because I have money, because I succeeded, because I did so many projects, and because I do something that I deeply, deeply love to this day. Like it's a job. So obviously there's days that, are difficult and challenging and things don't go your way. And for whatever things, that happens. But overall, like, I love it so much. I like wouldn't. I don't know if I will ever be able to quit, even when I'm crazy old. I will probably have to slow down, but it's just my passion. I love it so much, and I'm so lucky. And thinking about the signature, now I have a new project that I'm starting next week, where the client, after he saw that pool with my name on it, then he came up with the ideas like, I want your name too, but it has to be in 24 karat gold.
Love it.
It's like, I got a bigger dick, pretty much.
That's right. That's right. I love that.
There's that, little challenge, little thing as well, which is, it's great. I mean,
Well, there's a lot to unpack, but what I want to start off with is, you brought a good point, which is the recognition, right? And the recognition goes along with you being able to get what you deserve, not what even the market would bear. You know what? I believe I'm a premium provider, premium luxury, a luxury provider. You get the luxury prices, but it obviously always wasn't that way. So, to the cupcake lady who's growing her business, or to the lady who makes jewelry on Etsy, or whatever they're doing in their craft. And I saw your face light up when you got the recognition of, then I knew it was right, What advice do you have for people to help get there quicker? Should they learn how to say no more often? Should they, I don't want to answer for you, but what are ways that if we know we have the talent, we're going to succeed, how can we get there a little quicker by maybe listening to you?
well, I mean, the most important thing is quality.
Yeah.
If you provide the quality, sooner or later people will see it, because they compare, right? Like, again, cupcake, if your cupcake is done right and it's better than the other one around the corner, yeah, you will be able to charge a little more, because people, they see the numbers, it's like, oh, this is more expensive. But then if they try it, it's like, oh, but there's a reason why it's more expensive. Better ingredients, better technique, and just better tools, better ovens, whatever. Like a bunch of combination of things that make that cupcake better. So that's one thing, quality for sure. Other than that, it's just, it's going to take a little bit of time. It doesn't happen overnight. So in order to be recognized, and, having people understanding that they have to pay a little more for your products, you just need to prove yourself to them. So just, at the beginning, sell it for whatever the average market price is for something of that kind. And then little by little, when you start seeing that there's a good feedback and people are starting to coming more towards your products, then you can start realizing, okay, yeah, people now know, so now I can start, asking for what I believe I deserve. At the same time, try to be real. I mean, everybody wants to make more money than the day before. It's, human nature. But you also have to be realistic, understanding that, okay, what kind of products are you creating? Are you really that unique? Are you really that better? Or you're just patting yourself in the back? Don't do that. Like, understand what you do, but at the same time, recognize truth. Like, is it real that it's better, or you're just trying to, lie to yourself to feel better? There's that fine line between, truth, or just like, yeah, I need to feel better, so I just lie to myself. Don't lie to yourself. It's not going to bring anything good. I don't think there's any way that you can just, not telling the truth, at least to yourself, and recognize that it's the real thing. And also, again, use your shortcomings as a fuel to get better and create something better, becoming a better person, or becoming a better artist, or a better baker, or whatever it is that you're doing.
Crazy question, but along with those lines, when is it time to hang it up? When is it time to quit?
When you don't believe in yourself anymore, or when you don't like what you do anymore, or when you realize that the struggle is not worth it. Uh, because at the end of the day, you have to find a way. Again, you have to be realistic. It's like, am I really going nowhere? And again, I was close at least 3 times in quitting because I was going nowhere. If I were today at 51 in that situation, I would definitely quit. I was just like, yeah, I'm not good enough. Or it's not even how good you are. It could be a combination of other things. It could be like the market doesn't want it. It's just like people don't really understand it, or they don't like it. Like, you love it, but they just don't like it. It's like music, like today, to be honest with you, the music that I hear today at the radio is like, it's not even music to me, but that's what, young kids love, and that's what they do. And, there's probably not much knowledge behind it. I believe that even a young kid, if they try to understand music and they play music, they recognize the quality of the music that was provided years ago. Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, and Beatles, or whatever style that you like, there was a real music behind it. There was like some sort of like genius people behind and creating what they did. It was just amazing. Today, to be honest, a lot of those artists that there are today, you can say I'm old, you can say whatever you want, but if you're talking about musicality, like most of those artists, they don't even know what a chord is. So,
Yeah. So, all right, now, and you've done, a lot of great projects, and you're kind of venturing in some new stuff. I understand you're sponsoring a team.
yes, that's something that really pleases me. One of my best friends, he's Croatian but lives in my hometown of Ravenna. He's been a fisherman his whole life. He loves it. I mean, he's got his own job, but as a passion. And years ago, he started like big fish, like tuna fishing, and it really became a huge passion. And then he formed this team, and with like, by the way, my cousin also is involved in that. My second cousin. So last year they won the qualification for the World Championship, which is going to happen in Costa Rica at the beginning of April of this year. So they qualified. I don't know how many teams there are there from all over the world. I think 40, 45 teams, something like that. So everything is on their expenses, obviously. So last month I was down there in Italy, and I met with them, and we were talking, and they told me like all the expenses and all this stuff. So like, you know what, I want to be a sponsor. I want to help you out.
That's
So
awesome.
they loved the idea, and we did it. So
Oh, wow.
I'm sponsoring that. I'm not the only sponsors. They're probably trying to find someone else. It will definitely help. So shout out to somebody who wants to participate in this. Get in touch with me. I will get you the informations. But it's great. I mean, obviously I'm very proud of them. It's a big deal. Every time you achieve world level skills in whatever it is, I'm not a fisherman. I've never really liked it. This friend of mine, Beno, it's been like 25 years, 30 years that has been pushing me to go fishing with him, and I never accepted it. It's just not my thing. I just love what he fishes. I love the tuna
Yeah.
that he catches. Um, but I obviously love that he's so passionate about it, and it's gonna be great. I can't wait. I hope they reach a good point. I think the first five that they qualify, they automatically are qualified for the next year. And then if you don't reach the top five, I think you have to go through all the qualifications around the world. Like it works like tennis, I think, or something like that. It's just like every nation has a certain amount of things that you have to do to reach a certain amount of points, and then if you reach that point, then you go for example, from Italy. Then if you reach the top three, then you can participate in the European contest, and then if you reach the top one or top two, then you qualify for the world championship. I think, and again, I'm not 100% sure, but more or less that's how it works.
Oh, that'll be fun. All right, so I know you well enough. You're a very humble guy, and it's not easy for you to brag, but I'm going to ask you, and the ones you're allowed to talk about, can you share some of your notable projects and people that you worked with? Because I want people to really kind of get a feel for the depth of your connections in artistry.
Yeah. Well, some I can name, some I cannot. There's a lot of NDAs involved.
Correct.
Obviously.
Naturally.
Yeah. So I can say definitely Michael Loeb, who's a Wall Street guy who inspired the series Billions. So I know I can name him because he's very happy and proud, and we're friends. So there's no problem in that. I worked for a president of the United States in a project that he used to, and then he sold it. It was a big hotel in New York City. I worked for a Russian leader that I don't want to name in his own private residential.
Oh, it's private residence.
Yes, private residence. That was a tough job
For
a bunch of different things.
Did you meet him?
Yes.
Wow.
Then a lot of famous artists, singers, rock bands. A lot of Wall Street people, definitely. Some famous lawyers. And also like big projects like the Wynn Hotel, the one in Las Vegas, but also the one in Macau.
Oh, wow.
The Crown Hotel in Melbourne, Australia, which is the biggest casino hotel in the whole Oceania area. The Louvre director at that time. The Vatican was one of the few allowed to work.
And it's in areas that are not open to the public, right?
Yeah. Well, a couple things, yes. But the biggest pieces are, still not open to the public to this days.
Does the Vatican ask for a break? Like, are they like, hey, here's my price because I'm the Vatican? Or do they pay more? Like, I'm just out of curiosity.
No, there's a lot of rules in place.
Yeah.
Like you can work at certain days, certain times,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden if something happens, like there's like the Pope coming over in that area, everything has to stop.
Yeah.
So it's and also like the security that you go through every day to be able to go to work. It's challenging. It's
a lot, right?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Who had a tighter detail, the Russian president or the Vatican?
I don't know, both. They were both very challenging for different reasons. To be honest, like when I worked in Russia, I was scared. I was scared for my, safety. Let's put it that way. In the Vatican, no, but I've seen other things that I didn't like, and it was just really challenging because you didn't have much freedom to do whatever you wanted when you wanted. Just moving from one room to the other, you had to ask for permission, and it's just like very, a lot of bureaucracy, which really is not my thing.
Without giving names, any notable or maybe notable in certain worlds of high-end criminals that may or may not have used you?
Well, it depends what you think about politicians.
Good answer. Good answer.
If you think they're criminals, I definitely had a lot of criminals.
I love that answer. So, all right, and we're having a little fun, but the truth of the matter is that it is a serious business, and when did it? we kind of touched on this, but I want to get that inflection point of when did it become a business? Not just when you did it full time, because you might have did it full time, but may or may not have been a business yet. But when was this really a business?
Okay, so I perceived it as a business pretty much after I did that first big swimming pool, which I did not really make much money on it. I mean, it was okay. It was definitely the biggest amount of money that I made on a Mosaic. But considering the amount of hours and time that I spent, like months and months, to be able to produce that thing, at the end of the day, I didn't make much money. But because of that, and because the architect came back to me for another project, so I knew that he needed me. Because at the beginning, when I told him that I needed the recognition, I needed my name out there, and they refused it, then for months he went out and tried to find somebody else that could reproduce the same amount of quality in a challenging environment like a swimming pool, and he could not really find anybody. So then he came back to me. It's like, okay, I guess I have to work with you. So then I definitely asked for name recognition and also more money. So then it's not that I made a lot of money in that project, but definitely way more than before. So then I realized, okay, I really think I can do that for like just making money for a living. Like at that time, it was like, okay, there's a chance that this is happening. Because until then, I thought that, I could become better. I could become a very good one, maybe even the best. Who knows? But I wasn't sure that I will be able to make money. Like actually doing that, I thought that maybe I would have to keep that as a hobby that sometimes will pay something a little bit, but I had to keep another real job to make cost and money every month.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was like, oh, so the money that I made in this project would actually allow me to survive for the next 7 or 8 months. So I can use this, months to improve and actually market myself a little bit, and maybe doing few other projects here and there. I can use the pictures to show the clients what I can produce and what I did. So the quality that I provide, that really started, the ball rolling a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I started believing like, okay, this actually could be a business.
What advice do you have for artists in the similar to what you do, or artistry that it's a business, or again making cupcakes, etc. We tend to, when we start out, do like a cost plus for pricing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it costs me $1 and I should sell it for $3 because that's what I'm supposed to do. But there's more of an art to pricing. How should artists and people like that have the kind of that how do I say it, soft sell? There's not a it's artistry is soft. It's not tangible, right?
Yeah.
So non-tangible type services. What do you recommend for pricing for people that are watching? Practical. Do you do a benchmark first to market? Do you become find your positioning? How do you go about pricing?
Well, try to think about how long it took you to produce that art piece, and think about what's, again, realistically fair. If you are, fairly new, start thinking about, okay, it took me 100 hours, probably $12, $15 an hour, plus the material, which usually, again, not in my thing, but usually material is not that much.
Yeah.
Like think about painting, probably a painting you will use like $4 or $5 in the whole painting, and you sell it for like 300. So it's like a minimum percentage of material. But so really gauge how long it took you to create that art piece and how much you think it's fair. Again, realistically, once you start having a name out there and a little bit of recognition, then you can raise your price until you reach the point, if you do, that you don't even think about how long it took you. You can just, if you have your name out there, which is not my case. I mean, my name is out there, but I cannot just spit out a number.
Yeah.
I try to be fair. I try to think about, how long it would take me, the kind of materials that I use, because again, I use a lot of like gold and platinum, which are extremely expensive. So that really makes a difference in the overall price. But my advice is that, like try to gauge, try to be real. I know that everybody would love to just, work for 3 hours, create something and ask a crazy amount of money, which it's possible, obviously, if you're Picasso or even like, living artist, that they can ask for crazy money. But to get there is a long journey, and who knows if it's going to happen. So try to be realistic at the beginning, and then understand and see, try to put a price on what you create. And if you're able to realize what you want, somebody's going to buy it from you, then next time maybe a little bit more. But try to be, to be realistic and not to just go crazy, because then you're just going to make it more difficult for you.
So the more I learn about you is like the more fascinated I get, and you seem to be somewhat of a rum expert. How did that come about, and how did you get such a good collection?
Yeah. So, well, the difference between, there's subtle differences between Europe and United States, Italy, United States, even if obviously there's a lot of influences here, right? But one of the differences, which is so peculiar, so striking to me, and now I kind of like understood how it happened. But in Europe, rum is a big thing, and here it's not. It's getting there a little bit. Like it definitely changed since I moved here. But in Europe, especially in the 70s and the 80s, rum started becoming a big thing. And here, the vast majority of people, they don't know much about rum. They just think it's the thing that, you mix with Coke or with cocktails, and it's not. I mean, there's that kind of rum, but it's like, crap. But there's actually high-end rum that you sip neat, And so in my early 20s, I always liked drinking good stuff, not a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Still to this day.
You're not a big drinker, right?
No, I drink very good, but little. Like once a week, maybe 1 or 2, shots or pour. But super high-end stuff. Like something that's really, really good. That's the way that I like it. And it's also about Italian culture. Obviously, there's exceptions, but we start drinking at a very early age.
Yeah.
Like, the first glass of wine that I drank, I was 6, I think. So I turned 6, and my father told me, okay, now you're a big guy.
Yeah.
So now you can drink this. And he poured me a glass of wine. But the difference is that you don't do that here. Is like, a forbidden thing. And then you turn 21 and you don't know how to handle it because you don't know alcohol, and you just go wild.
Yeah.
And then you create a lot of alcoholism.
Yeah.
In Italy, it's not like
Moderation.
that. Like, you start at early age, but you know how to handle it because, they teach you how to handle it. And then you don't go wild when you are 18 or 21. So you just learn, how to handle certain things. So I never drank too much, but I started, liking things. And I'm just fascinated about something like even, wine or whiskey that it just goes through generations and generation. And, like the father teaches the son that teaches his son and so on. And things start developing and creating new techniques, and whole tradition becomes something that's just a little different but still uses something that was done 200-300 years ago. So anyway, in my 20s, with some of my friends, we started going out, and instead of just we didn't have much money, so instead of buying 3 beers or 5 shots, I was like, okay, so this is the menu of what they have. And there's, this rum is like $3 and $4 and $5, and this one is 15. Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna drink 5. I can afford only $15. So like, let me try the good one.
Yeah.
And then I noticed the difference, and I was like, oh, there is a difference. So let me get into that. So then I, went to the bookstore and I bought a book about rum and how it's produced and all that stuff. And then I started meeting people and really getting interested, and it's fascinating. And then when I started having a little bit of money, I started traveling, went to the Caribbean and see where it's produced and how it's produced. And today I'm just flying all over the world just for buying a bottle here and there. And I have a huge collection spread between all my properties, here in the States. I have properties in the Caribbean. And then in Italy, I have like bottles everywhere.
That's awesome.
And then little by little, because I moved to the United States, I started learning about bourbon mostly, but also now like Japanese whiskey or Japanese rum. Like the Japanese guys are producing something that's incredible.
Yeah, I never had the rum, but the whiskey I felt like they caught up. I was
one day I'll bring something good to you. We'll share something.
That'll be that would be an honor.
Yeah, and I have some things that just.
What do you like in terms of bourbons? Because I went to the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky, and I just had a whole new profound respect for the artistry behind bourbon. I think bourbon is still in I wouldn't say nascent stages, but still growing stages. You can even invest in bourbon. I don't know if you know that, which is pretty cool. That's who sent me out there, kind of on a trip.
I created a couple of my own blends, actually.
Really?
Yep. I really like, so Maker's Mark.
Yeah.
They're doing something interesting now. So they have the special selection.
Yeah, I bought one of them. They were because I'm not a big Maker's Mark guy. If it's a well pour, obviously I could tell right away. Yeah. I never get well for bourbon, but I went to the liquor store, Wineathology, whatever it was, and they had somebody there doing a promotion, and they had the special bottle numbered, all that kind of stuff, and they were smart because they did kind of what similar Davidoff does. They had an allocation for the store on it too.
Yeah.
It was delicious.
Yeah. So, but what they're doing now, it's they give you a chance, if you are especially a store. What they do is they have this special selection, which pretty much you have like 5 different kind of stuffs. Oh, wow. So different kind of woods, and you can choose the combination that you want.
You can make a custom bottle?
You can make a custom, not bottle, but barrel.
Oh, barrel. Oh,
so, and they let it age. So you actually have 1,001 different kind of combination that you can create with all these different wood stuffs that you put in it. And, they have French wood, they have French oak, they have American oak, they have European, Spanish oak that you can just combine in different ways. So then you can create like 1,001 different combinations based on your taste profiles and everything else. So it's pretty interesting. So I did a couple of those, and one came out really, really nice. I'm very happy about it. I did the same thing, like my own special blending with a Pursuit Spirit, which is they are in Louisville in Kentucky. They're brand new company, very small. They do things like, very traditionally. Like they're good, good people. And they make, very small guys. They're growing a little bit. But you can do your own blend. You just go there, you taste a bunch of different barrels, and then you blend it. And you can actually do just one bottle. And you label it over there. They have the labeler. It's nice. They numbered it.
So I think I heard of them when I was there, but I didn't know, so that's the one thing I learned. Number one, bourbon is blended. It's also different cask, and maybe in multiple casks in its journey. And the casks are obviously very important. And that's one thing I like. Are there any brands that you like that we may have heard of, even if it's on the higher end? Because I know you obviously like custom, but any brands?
I love what Nulu does.
Okay.
They're very, very good. I like this thing of the Maker's Mark. I don't like the regular Maker's Mark.
Maker's Mark I don't know.
Yeah. No, but this special selection thing is very interesting because you can really custom make it. I like the Nulu is probably my favorite.
So you're not like a big like Pappy Van Winkle or?
No, to be honest, no, it's not really my thing.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing, though, going back to how I learned about rum and everything, the funny thing is before the Prohibition, in the United States, everything that you guys drank was rum.
Yes,
You have
you
have the Caribbean here, and also all the plantations in
Yeah.
Florida and
Yeah.
stuff. They were all like,
Yeah.
United States was a rum nation.
Yeah.
Like that's all you had.
I think
Then
the marketing,
the prohibition starts,
Yeah.
so they blocked everything, and then the moonshiners
Yes.
came around, and they because there was no accessibility to the plantations, and to produce rum, so they started using corn and other things and hiding in the mountains, especially the Smoky Mountains
Yeah.
in Tennessee. So then you sway away from the rum and you started using corn. And then after the end of the prohibition, then they started using mostly corn and producing what's called today bourbon.
Wow.
But it's funny that, 100 years ago, everything that here was, drank was rum. And now pretty much nobody knows about high quality rum. It's funny.
Yeah, and even it's interesting you brought up in Europe because been to Italy multiple times. I don't recall seeing much rum there, at least on the terms. Maybe nowadays. I mean, been there for 20 years. But
no. If you go to a decent store, they have
more. Yeah,
they have great selection of rums.
Nice.
Yeah.
So this was a great conversation. I had high expectations that exceed my expectations. We're definitely going to have you back. We covered a lot of ground, but we're definitely going to have you back. My final question to you is there a question that I didn't ask that you wish I asked or didn't cover?
You're definitely catching me off guard right now. Yeah, maybe like how I see myself 10 years from now.
How do you see yourself 10 years from now?
And I don't know how to answer that. I can probably just speculate. I don't know. I see myself still do what I do.
Yeah.
Am I still going to be here in the States? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Probably yes, but I'm not 100% sure. Am I going to be back in Italy? I'm not even sure about that. So I really see myself as a citizen of the world today. Yeah. That's, because I love traveling for business, but also just for fun.
Yeah.
I just love cultures and trying to understand the different cultures, how they get there, why they think how they think. There's obviously, historical reasons sometimes behind the way that, people think and their mentality. But I love languages. I speak different languages, and I love.
How many languages do you speak?
It's hard to say, but like really well, 3. Nice. Italian, maybe English very well.
Fantastic.
And Spanish. I'm totally fluent in Spanish as well.
My wife would love to chat with you. She's from Ecuador.
Oh yeah, I've been to Ecuador a lot. Loved it. So yeah, Spanish I'm fluent, but also Portuguese, even though I haven't practiced it much in a while.
Yeah.
A little bit of French, a little bit of Greek. I just, I'm thinking about maybe I should start Arabic and Chinese. Yeah. So that's probably going to be my next big languages.
Too, because
yeah, but also I think it's fascinating as a culture that's so different. When I go to Asia, I just love it.
Yeah.
And then now, probably soon I'll have to go to Dubai. I'm closing a deal where soon I will have to go to. So, and there's a lot of business over there for me as well. So probably learning Arabic will be a great thing. Nice. Also, I really like, besides the business side of it, I love understanding people when they talk their language. It's slightly different. Like I see the difference in me, like even the dreams are different. Like when I dream something about Italy, I dream in Italian. If I dream something related to my business here or my family here or my friends here, I dream in English.
Interesting.
If I think about something that's happening in the Caribbean or related to my business, like job-wise every day, since I have my employee that speaks only Spanish and I speak Spanish with him, and I dream something in that context, then I dream in Spanish. So, and myself, I am slightly different. The way that I think, the way that I react when I'm thinking or speaking in a language. Like, if you're asking me something in Italian and something that maybe is shocking, and if you're asking me the same thing in English, my reaction is slightly different
Yeah.
because the mentality is different,
Yeah.
because the cultures are different. And, I learn how to think and adapt differently. So the Danilo in Spanish or in Italian is different than the Danilo in English.
Love it.
It's kind of interesting.
We're going to put your links below, obviously. Art Mosaic's website. We'll put your Instagram so people can check you out. You have a nice following on Instagram. But for those maybe that are just listening, how can they find you?
Yeah, Google my name, Danilo Bonazza. You find all the links. Or Instagram is Art and Mosaics. Facebook with my name, you can find my fun club. And, there's a lot of articles if you just Google me. And obviously we had a couple of nice articles on New Jersey Digest, but, things around that if people want to find me, they will.
Article did really well.
Oh, yeah?
First day got like 11,000 views versus maybe
nice.
with the same level of push. It's normally like 4, and it got like 3x of what.
Oh,
People
good.
are fascinated, I think, by you, and then even more so. And I want to reserve this for the next one because this gets juicy. But why you moved to New Jersey, for family, that kind of stuff. But the fact that you picked New Jersey, so I want to maybe table that for the next one.
Sure.
But nevertheless, that did really well.
All right. That's great. Great to know.
Awesome. Well, then, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for checking us out.
Awesome.